invading the Ukraine. He didn't just start then. He shouldn't be in the Ukraine, out of Ukraine. But actually, this has been a war in the making over decades. And so we are talking here about saying no to NATO as well. So why are we saying no to NATO? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is because we're here. Because we're here, and Britain is a nuclear power, and is part of NATO, and is part of imperialism. And what we have is a war of imperialism, where the people in the Ukraine, as I've said, are this is the chessboard on which this big game of war is being played. Russia is trying to shore up its sphere of influence, and therefore it feels it has a right to invade a sovereign country and murder people, because that is its sphere of influence as it sees. Its sphere of influence that NATO has been encroaching on, and even though it said it wouldn't do it, that NATO has been encroaching on for over 30 years, okay? So Russia is shoring up its sphere of influence at the same time as the US and Britain and all the others are trying to expand their sphere of influence. And I think we should be clear. I don't think that the US or UK, I don't think Boris Johnson gives a toss about people being murdered in Ukraine. They don't care at all about that. They don't care at all about that. What they care about is, can they expand British influence? Can they expand British imperialism? And that is what is taking place. So we have imperialist powers butting up against each other, and yet again the people who pay the price are ordinary people, whether that's ordinary people in the Ukraine or let's be honest about it, there are other wars taking place, whether that's ordinary people in Yemen who are being murdered by British bombs at the behest of the Saudis, whether that's ordinary people in Palestine or Syria being murdered by Israel at the behest of US and UK, whether that is ordinary people in other places where wars are taking place. We live in a system of war. We live in a system of imperialism. And so I don't think we stand here hitching our wagon to Putin or to Boris Johnson or to Biden or the rest of it. I think for us, we have to say we need an alternative to a lot of them. Yesterday we were on a protest over the cost of living crisis. We have a cost of living crisis in the UK. I tell you what though, the people who don't have a cost of living crisis are the rich and the powerful. And we are going to see yet again, we're going to see billions of pounds poured into warfare, whether that's in Russia, whether that's in the UK, whether that's in the US. We are going to see billions of pounds poured into war, whilst at the same time ordinary people are struggling. So part of our message here is say really simply, we want welfare and not warfare, okay? We have to end this system of warfare, and I think that this is integral. You know, if you look at the price of things at the minute, the price of oil, the price of gas, the price of all the rest of it, that is going through the roof, and that is partly because of war. That is partly about who controls the resources. That's absolutely true. But it's also partly because people like BP and Shell and Gazprom and all the rest of it want to rinse ordinary people dry. And so if you look at the UK now that COVID isn't so much of an issue, apparently, still killing a lot, but now apparently it's not so much of an issue, Boris Johnson is going to get back to the normal business of letting hypothermia kill old people. You know, that's the normal business in the UK. So why do I say all of this stuff? How do we link all of this stuff? Well, it seems to me in Russia there are big anti-war movements, and those anti-war movements are under attack. I told you I'm in socialist work, but we had an international meeting on Monday. Rosalie was our speaker from Russia. Today, Rosalie has been arrested in Russia because she is protesting on the streets.